work rule doesn't relate regarding coming to 1 or 2 meetings, this being the core one. There are far other assignments that you still have to drive just as far from your residence to attend, and if you're doing your job responsibly, you take them very seriously and you do attend. So I think that the last sentence should say after, before the word option, or a meeting of a board committee or board special assignment. So it should include all of those for those that need to travel the more than 30 miles. This isn't going to be instituted by most board members. I'm not worrying that it's going to be overly used. So I'm not going to worry about it being the 30 miles. That's what was put in. I think that speaks for itself. Many board members would prefer not to elect to spend the night here. They would prefer to return to their residence. So it's just providing an option. It doesn't mean that option is always utilized. So those would be my comments. I don't think we should go into any major revisions, and I would support it with the option as read, the one that basically a rewrite of what Ms. Glassy had included as an option at the bottom of page 3. Those would be my comments for now. Thank you.
Supervisor Colfax.
Contrary to what Mr. Graff said, I see this 30-mile thing. I don't want to take it personally, but I'm 27.6 miles from right here to Boonville. Now, I can go up to the north entrance to the expressway and then go back down and then go up to the north end of the entrance to my property, and I think I can get to 30 miles. I don't expect I ever will, and I've never used this overnight policy in the course of this, but I would just remark that this actually only would apply to 2 supervisors, and I'm doing my darndest to keep from taking it personally. Before I had that option, they've taken away from me, John, and I hope you'll be my champion on that to get me back some of my rights. I'm going to vote for this, even though it hurts me to do so.
Well, Supervisor Colfax.
Okay. I'm not. No, 30's good. I'll move the house. That's okay.
But I mean, you also have to reference the difficulty of the commute. I mean, you wind way up. I'm very surprised that it is under 30. Actually, I think that you ought to have the option to, as you said.
No. I just. That's okay.
Well, I would be willing to adjust it so you would feel that you had option, knowing full well you will rarely execute your right to have the option. I mean,
I guarantee I will never exercise it now because I'm so embittered.
Okay, would you like to go forward with it being 30 or 25?
I say go with, I'll take staff recommendation.
Okay. Very well, then I think we have to move this forward.
Supervisor McCallum.
Well, I think that the policy could be further streamlined in that we have the front section where we state general policy, then we go into what is official business, and then we have a section called general travel reimbursement information. Well, and more general, we have 2 sections on general reimbursement information. So I think that, this could certainly be streamlined to eliminate redundancies, to put things in what I would consider the proper order. I'd go with the general policy stuff, then I'd go into what's reimbursable and what's not. And a lot of what gets stated here under what is reimbursable then gets restated back in what is allowable for expenses inside Mendocino County and what is allowable for outside of the county. Having stated it once, I don't see the need to state it again. So I think it could be updated, streamlined. I believe staff already has a concept of how that could be done. The one thing, and I kind of hesitate to bring it up because it's potentially a sensitive issue, but to me the one thing that really, and I certainly agree with the road, losing the road reimbursement, which has never made sense to me, but the one thing that could be a little sensitive is that we could use a portion of those funds that is set aside for training and conferences, that we could use it for health-related issues like exercise equipment or a health club. And the whole policy is within the framework of this is reimbursement for actual and necessary expenses incurred in the performance of official duties or official business. And, you know, I can certainly see the concept, and it's a common employee compensation that people do get allowances for exercise and health-related things. That's very common. But I don't see how we make the justification that it's in keeping with our official business. And so to me, that's the one thing that really doesn't fit within the framework of this policy. I would also, though, support the expanded option for a supervisor who's otherwise eligible if they're here for official board business, even though it's not an official, you know, regular meeting, but it's board business. I think they should have the option to stay over. And I might ask County Council to weigh in on the issue of what is within the scope of official board business as far as the issue of the health benefits issue.
You mean, how does the health benefit relate to official board business?
Yeah, does that really fit within this policy, or is that a form of compensation that is really beyond the scope of what we're doing?
Yeah, I would say that the health plan is a benefit that's given to the board, so it is a form of compensation. And we've talked about looking at that in terms of amending the ordinance and including it as a compensation issue rather than a board expenditure or a reimbursement of an expenditure. With respect to the $25, I just need to remind you that even though you are giving it up, the code still requires you to make reasonable inspection of the county roads from time to time. So you will still have to do that, even though you don't get your $25.
I certainly will. You count on us.
Well, I take that serious, because I think I travel, go on areas of road, people get a complaint, I usually go out and check it out. So I thought that $25 a month was a small stipend for the actual travel that I went to earn that. So I have a opposite opinion of the majority of the board on that issue. I thought that was a very small stipend, and it actually maybe encouraged board members to check out their roads.
Well, it's a mandatory requirement.
While I'm on that issue, I thought anybody, board or the public, would wonder why I'm getting $100 more a month on travel. My guess that's because all my roads are still dirt. Yeah.
You live at the border of Trinity County.
Supervisor Smith.
Well, I think, I agree with Supervisor McCowan. There's a lot of wordsmithing and improvements and that could happen here. There are some redundancies, but, you know, it still is a work in process. With respect to the $25 to our chair, that there was some discussion, I'm not sure if you were here or not when we first took that on, but that the allowance, the actual travel allowance that the supervisors, when we went to that method of support for supervisors' travel, it was sort of discussed and said at that time that basically that's going to incorporate the review of the roads, because we're all on the roads quite a bit. Even the supervisors that live closer to Ukiah are still on the roads a lot. So yes, I think that that's just important, because I think there's been a perception by the public that it's a redundancy and we're getting compensated twice. So I think it's a small amount and we ought to just forego that, as Ms. Glassy has put into the policy. So I think we ought to move this along. I think that there's plenty of options to get the wording in a more concise fashion, and it can be improved. It can be brought back to us either later this year, or it's on a yearly review. It could come back next year. We just need to move forward. So I would support the January 26th draft document as presented by the executive office with the wording at the bottom of page 3, just prior to the word option, or a meeting of a board committee or board special assignment, period. And that would cover that. And I do think we need to take on the health issues, reviewing what that might be. I don't think we ought to get into dissecting that today. That's part of the management